Okay, let's pick up where we left off last time. The wheel wells on the front seem to be way out of whack. So what I did was I cut a cardboard template out to see what it would look like. Then using a round rod, I formed what I thought would be the proper opening. From there I made a mold just to get me some fiberglass to work with. Once the mold was done, I put the mold piece into the wheel well and then cut it down, and then using popsicle sticks and hot glue gun I was able to hold it temporarily in place. I glassed that piece in, and then I actually removed a section of the fender, and then using a piece of building foam covered it with tin foil and then fiberglass, and then using some clamps I was able to actually push it into the opening to form the proper shape. This was then glassed in with multiple layers of fiberglass, then covered with a thin coat of Duraglass when I had it built up the way I wanted it to. I was able to do a rough finish on the part, and I think the wheel well looks good. Also changed the passenger side. It didn't need much modification, but I did make a few minor changes, as well as a little minor change in the rear on the driver's side. Now I've got all my wheel wells where I think I need them to be, and we'll move on to the roll cage. Okay, to start the roll cage, the first thing I did was I turned the body upside down. There were several areas that needed to be glassed in before I started on the roll cage. Those were the supports for the body under the door frame, the sections holding the rear body, and then the two mounts for the front. So cleaning up the fiberglass and the Duraglass around those areas, I could then add some glass mat over those to hold them securely in place. Then I started using the 1.5-inch round tube for the roll cage. I don't have a tubing bender other than my Harbor Freight hydraulic one, so by creating a template and then going back and forth and bending and checking and bending and checking and bending and checking, I was able to get the two pieces for the side done, as well as the piece across the front of the windshield and across the firewall. So once all that was done, I then tacked it in place and then temporarily mounted it on the chassis, then mounted the body on the chassis to see how it would look. After I got that done, I then pulled the body off and put it back on the storage rack, moved it out of the way. Since Brian had finished his next round of chemo last week, he was feeling a little bit better and was able to come out and do some welding on the cage for me. While we were working on the cage, we had a little green lizard visit us. Okay, Brian, I got the roll cage finished up. So this is all 1.5 inch pipe, and it was bent to fit the roof. Then what we did here was took 1.5 inch square tube, and that supports the back. So it turned out pretty good. We had to do a little bit of adjustments along the way, but I think it's looking real good right now. So we did test fit the body a couple times to make sure it was where it needed to be, and I'm happy with the results. Yeah, I had a little bit of a setback. Taking Brian to his oncologist appointment, and we got rear-ended, which drove me into the car in front of me. But that's not really the big issue. This is the big issue back here. Yeah, he hit me pretty good. And now my truck is undrivable. They're probably going to total it. So using it to go get acetylene gas and getting some metal for the other body panels, that's going to have to wait for a while. And then, of course, dealing with an insurance company who isn't very responsive does add to the stress a lot. So anyway, get back to the car. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you would, and turn on your post notifications. And I think that I have decided I'm going to go with blue for the color. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for my next update.